Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Dalia, and today we're back on my medieval, witchy, autumn island Grim Isle, doing another build today. I'm really excited for this one. It is a rather big build, which is actually going to be split into two parts. I only build one of the areas today. You'll see a big section completely left untouched, but we'll get to that in a little bit later. Let's head over to the area that we're going to be building. We're going to be building around my resident services. And yeah, it's a big build. It's going to be extending from my entrance. We're going to be building a lot of cliffs. It's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing today. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you would like to join our little family that we're growing here on YouTube. And yeah, we got Maple, we got Zell. Everyone wants to join in on the intro. That's the beautiful thing about building around resident services. You get all the villagers, all the interactions. Zell is just living for the camera right now. We love that for him. Okay, so let's head over and unfortunately start with the terraforming. So this was a lot of terraforming. When I tell you, it took me, I don't know, a long time to build up these cliffs because there was a lot of cliff building. Do not worry, I promise you guys that this build is not going to be majority terraforming. I cut a ton of it out. It's only going to be a few minutes of me just kind of showing you guys the overall placement of the cliffs and everything. But basically, you can probably already tell by the title of the video, we're making an abandoned town square. So my idea for this, so I think I've mentioned this previously in other videos, probably like the first or second build that I made on this island. My idea for this island is that the whole island is completely in ruin. It is a abandoned, past its prime, destroyed island that used to be like this beautiful kingdom, and now it's in ruin, and the island has been taken over by witches. That's where the medieval witchy theme comes into play. But obviously, because I do have my resident services and I have my buildings, the entire island doesn't look abandoned. So my idea is that basically the majority of the island is going to be abandoned and like kind of in ruin, but the area around my plaza is going to be a lot more put together, which is why I actually incorporate a third path onto my island. I have this really cool mossy stone path that I've been using for the majority of my more castle place builds, and another more grassy, mossy type path that I've been using for the more woodland areas. But I wanted something a little more structured, so I'm using one more path, which I will introduce to you guys in a couple of minutes when we actually start building the area. But this is actually the brick path that I used on my last fall island, so it was fun to get to decorate with that path again. But yeah, the idea for the plaza area is that this is the area where the residents, you know, have re-established the island and kind of made it their own. So it's a lot more come to life. Like a lot of the areas that I built so far have been a lot more run down and looked as if it hasn't been touched in a long time, versus this area is going to be a lot more like brought to life. This is actually the area that we do not build today. I build up the abandoned town square in this build, and then we're going to be continuing my plaza build in a second build. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to do like a abandoned town square right next to the new established town square. And the main reason I wanted to do a town square is because I really wanted to make like an old looking bell tower. You know, like when you see these really like cool like medieval town squares, they have like a beautiful bell tower with a bell at the top, and then just tons of like lived-in buildings around the space. That is the kind of the idea. So this is the layout for today's build. It does change a little bit throughout the whole video, but I basically had the layout that I wanted, and this is when I realized that this build was going to be quite large, and I was starting to consider, hey, maybe I should be placing it in 2 builds. So one thing I did want to do is obviously place tons of castle items down. So I'm placing castle items surrounding the entire plaza, except for the left side that we leave completely blank today, but we do decorate the right side of the plaza with some castle items like I just mentioned, and then some additional items you guys will see throughout the video. But here I'm trying to decide the layout of the castle. Obviously I wanted to be able to see the castle walls and items from the second cliff overlooking the plaza, but I was trying to figure out the layout, and this was like when I was starting to realize that I wanted it to be like parallel to one another. I wanted everything to be cohesive, and I decided to place inclines because we're gonna have the cliff going back further. Completely please ignore my nook's cranny in the background there. We're just pretending like the shops in the museum do not exist for the moment. And I do have to unfortunately adjust the cliffs just a little bit because I needed the castle items to fit just a little bit better. Also gave me a little more room to work with when I actually start placing the pathing down. But yeah, I decided to use the stone inclines once again. I think this is pretty much the only incline I'll be using on this island, except for maybe like 1 or 2 more natural inclines in the more like woodland forest areas. But so far the only inclines I've used are the stone. Nothing completely matches the damaged version of the castle items, but it works okay, and I think it goes pretty well with the pathing I've been using so far as well. And yeah, so then I just quickly time traveled, had both of the inclines placed in, and then I was adding the arches and the broken pillars, and then I started placing down the pathing. If you guys remember, this is the road pathing I used on my last fall island, and we're just going to be using it here and like maybe a few other random spots on the island. But I only saved a couple of tiles from this path. There is a full path, including like diagonal pathing for this path if you choose to like use it for yourself. It's a really great path, especially if you're doing a fall island, obviously, considering it has like the red leaves integrated into the more brick. But I'm placing this stonework along the entire area. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with my peninsula yet, so please just completely ignore all the empty spaces that you see towards the end of this video. But I'm placing this path around the entire perimeter, and then I'm going to be placing the brick obviously in like the center. I did download like 3 versions of the brick because I wanted a few of them to have the red and like brown leaves. Look how cute the villagers look, like they're celebrating Thanksgiving, Turkey Day. They look so cute. But yeah, this is kind of what it looked like. I'm gonna go around and just place the leaf pathing like in just random spots. But yeah, this is pretty much the layout. Quite happy with it. I think it's enough space for what I wanted to do. But once again, like I said, I do not decorate the left part of the plaza today because I'm a little indecisive about what I was going to do there. So we leave it for today. And then I started placing my pathing down for the top part where we're going to be placing the abandoned town square. Like I said, I'm using this mossy stone path throughout the whole island, anywhere that is like the ruined part of the actual castle areas. So anywhere that's like a market or like a more like, I don't know, visited area with a lot of the castle items. This is where I'm going to be placing this pathing down. And I like it because it's very distressed, and I think it really complements like the moss and the gray parts of the damaged castle items, which is my main choice for picking it. But this required a lot of path placing, and it took me a long time to decide how I wanted to place it down, so I just skipped all of that. You guys have seen me place pathing down before. If you want a more in-depth video of how I place this pathing down, let me know and I can do that. But you see how much pathing I had to place? Like, this took me a long time. And I didn't want to have to show you guys like just 40 minutes of path placing. Like, this video is already long enough. As you guys can tell, very proud of me, you should be. I actually managed to cut this video down from 40 minutes to like slightly less than 30. Because it was a long video. This build took me like 4 days to make, on and off, to the point where I actually made another video for my other island, which is ready to go. So, be proud of me for that as well. But yeah, I went back to placing some items down around the plaza. This is when I started getting a little frustrated because I didn't know how I wanted to lay out the town square, because I wanted there to be buildings around the town square that are like meant to be like buildings that people lived in, but I didn't want to just place like medieval building sites along the entire cliff and call it a day. Like, I wanted there to be like small buildings clustered in like random spots, and I wanted them to be like fallen and broken, like in decay, because people don't live there anymore, which you will see me progressively do later on. But pretty much I was just laying out this one because I knew what I wanted this area to look like. I wanted this to basically replicate what I wanted to do on the top with the town square, but compared to the town square, this was actually a place that people like utilized and used. And I'm also using the round topiaries because these they look like medieval-ish, I guess. And then finally, I'm using the plated armor. Like, why haven't I used these yet? I forgot this was an item. But yeah, I'm doing that. I'm placing those down like towards the entrances. I don't know, I think that they look really good. And they're still in like the rusted variation, because even while this is still a more like used part of the island, this is still a very rundown island. It's supposed to look run down, you know. And then I don't know why I started placing these covered wagons here. My original idea for this area was to make like a barn, so I was placing down some covered wagons, and then I was gonna put some like horses or something. I do leave this spot untouched just because I like that I filled it in, but I don't actually do anything past this, so like, yeah, don't get excited. And I do know that my hairstyle has changed. I visited Harv's Island to customize some of my furniture, and Harriet gave me a new hairstyle. So if you're wondering why my hairstyle has changed, that is why. I will briefly mention it just in case anyone, like that one person, mentions it. Doubtful, but just in case. And then I placed those Joe bars behind the plaza. I think it kind of looked like a jail behind the plaza. I don't know. I just think it looked really cool behind the castle arches. So anyway, then I moved back to working on my town square. My initial idea was to place this giant bell tower at the center and then have a bunch of buildings surrounding it. That is literally the concept of this build. That's what I went into it doing. So after like 2 days of leaving this build alone, I finally had enough inspiration to come back to it and finish it. And when I tell you, I am so happy that I actually took a step back just for a couple of days, and it really just gave me like a new perspective. I also managed to find some new custom designs that like match the damaged version of the walls, and like I have them all listed in the description if you are curious about any of the designs I'm using today. But yeah, I placed those on the symbol panels. I just think it looks like the building is a little more put together than it would have been if I had left it with the cliff. Like, I don't know, I like that it actually looks a little more put together like a building. And then I started placing buildings down in just random order. I knew I wanted to utilize as many items in this area that I possibly could that was going to give the area like height. So I use the castle items, I use the pergolas, I use the storefronts, in various colors too. Like I'm trying to make this look, while I'm trying to make it look like very run down and abandoned. I can only say the word abandoned so many times, but while I'm trying to do that, I'm also trying to bring some color to the area too. So I'm using various colors of these storefronts, and I like that the red storefronts match the red brick. And then I'm using some stalls, which if you see me use this stall design already in my market build, but I think it gives like, I don't know, it kind of looks like a windowsill with overgrown leaves on it. Like, you get it. And then I'm using like this version of the gazebo, and just really like they're broken, rundown, falling apart buildings, which I think you get that, you kind of get it. And it's like very mismatched, which is like the whole vibe of this area, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. So then after placing the buildings down, I ran around, planted some trees, some shrubs, placing the giant vines because I love how much height they give builds on this island, and I also think that it adds that element of magicalness to the areas, because I'm trying to make this island seem very overgrown but almost in an unnatural way, which is why I'm also using like the glowing moss and everything. Like there's mixes of like natural elements but also mysterious magical elements, which is kind of the whole vibe I was trying to go for this island, which I think I'm doing okay. Let me know if I'm doing okay. And then I placed these hedges down. I just wanted there to be something that cut off the overlook to the plaza, and I thought that it did a pretty good job of it. And then just to kind of complete the area towards the back leading to the inclines, I'm just placing a couple more castle items. I like that the tower kind of transforms the area into like less of buildings but more of a castle building. And then more of these amazing giant vines. Like the fact that I've not built an island with a giant vine before this island, it's one of my favorite items to build with now. It takes up so much space and it just looks so good. Yeah, and then I'm placing a couple more simple panels down just with some windows and doors, once again to give the illusion that these are like fallen apart buildings. And then just a lot of barrels and boxes because I wanted this to also kind of look like a market. I don't know. And then because I wanted this area to kind of look like residents of the island visit it, I made this cute little sitting area with the iron garden furniture and like the brown colorway, just because I felt like it blended the best in with the space. And then later on, I'm just gonna place some like teacups and just a couple of food items on like the actual stall area. Once again, this is meant to be completely abandoned, but also like, why can't there be a kitchen here? Like I'm placing a Yule log. I love the Yule log in that green colorway. I don't think I've ever decorated with it yet. And then because I wanted to finish this space and have it look a little more like it could be a kitchen, I do place an oven behind the stall in a little bit. And yeah, then I planted a couple more trees which I wanted to be stunted, so I will just time travel in a little bit and have them grow in the more stunted versions. And then I'm placing tons of leaf piles and wheat fields. Once again, this is meant to be overgrown. This is meant to be like messy and disorganized. I also placed that well in the middle of the plaza. I don't think I actually recorded me placing that. I was originally going to use the fountain because I've seen tons of like town squares using a fountain, but I think the well is a little bit better because it doesn't actually have the running water. It looks like it could have had water at some point, but right now it's completely dried up. I just really wanted there to be a well in the center, and then I'm going to place some decoy ducks in a little bit to act like, you know, birds you would see around a well. Once again, this is meant to be like, it's a completely abandoned area, but like because this island is visited and does have like residents, there's gonna be areas that even though they're falling apart, you still have some lived-in elements. And then because I'm trying to add like little spooky elements, I place like this little, like, I don't know, the suspicious cauldron with some more like, I don't know, magical items like the book stand and the glowing moss jar. And then I place a curtain partition to kind of hide it. Basically with this island, I'm trying to create the magical elements in like very vague ways, so you can't exactly see it when you first look at it, but then you take a second glance and you're like, oh, well, that looks weird. And then in all the areas that are more abandoned on my island, I'm placing the pumpkin items in like that grayish white, just because I think it kind of like signifies that this area is like dying and decaying, versus like the other areas of the island that have the pumpkins are going to be like kind of brought to life, and they're going to have the green and the orange and the yellow. But I used the gray pumpkins on my market build too, and I just think the gray kind of shows like this area of the island is falling apart. This area of the island is poisoned by something. Like, I don't know, I just think it looks really good. And then I do place the other pumpkin items around the area that are in the different colorways, but once again, I think like that cutoff between the gray and the other colors is like just a subtle touch of detail, and I really like it. And then I started placing items down on the areas by my plaza. I didn't know quite what to place, but this area here somehow turned into like a little plant storage spot. Not quite so sure why. And then I'm placing some of the pumpkin lanterns on the top of the ruined pillars. And then, I don't know, just placing like random items down. Like, I don't have to have an explanation for every item I place. But you kind of get the general gist. Like, this is an area where all the islanders frequent, so they could study the plants. They could be using the plants for potions or something. Like, there doesn't have to be an explanation for everything, which I kind of love. I don't know, I like the mystery element that this island has taken a hold of. Also, please ignore Molly. Why does she have to have the thought bubble? I'm trying to get Tex to move out, and he's just like singing there and having the time of his life. This guy never wants to leave. And then just to finish up the area, I'm just adding some fencing along the plaza, and then I decided I'm going to place 2 shrubs on either side. I didn't know exactly which fencing I wanted to use for this island. I really haven't used any fencing yet, but I like how the hedges and the country fencing look. I think I might also incorporate some of the spooky fencing in a few areas, and maybe also the log fencing. But other than that, I'm just going to keep it very simple and just use mainly like shrubs and other items for that kind of thing. Like, I don't know, I don't feel like I need a lot of fencing, except in a few like selected areas like this. But yeah. And then just to finish up this area, because I said I wanted this area to be kind of more lived in than the rest of the island, I'm just placing another storefront, which I'm going to put a curtain partition in front of, and then just like 1 or 2 more food items, just to once again kind of like tie in the kitchen area that I made on the right side. Once again, this is not meant to be a kitchen area, but also kind of gives the vibe of like an outdoor cafe, but in like medieval times, which I kind of love. And then because I didn't use them at all, I'm placing a couple of log stakes around the area, just because I forgot to place these items before, and I like the way that the log stakes look in contrast to like the more natural areas. And then just to kind of give a little more height and verticality, I'm placing a couple more jail bars. I think the jail bars look really good placed directly behind buildings. And once again, this kind of looks like the bones of the building, so like the buildings are falling apart, and you just see like the metal structure of the building left over. Maybe, I don't know. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Also, it just gives extra height to the space, which I always appreciate. Anyways, somehow I managed to talk through my entire build, and we are at the part where I'm gonna walk through, show you guys a bunch of clips of the building towards like nighttime, because this is when I'm gonna be setting my dream address to. So yeah, let's go check it out. Alright, that is everything for today's video. Thank you guys so much for tagging along with me while we make this build. I had so much fun making it. I think it's like just so fun and unique and different than a lot of the other builds that I've made. So hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos from me, and I don't know, comment down below letting me know how your day has been going so far. Anyways, I hope you guys all have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!